Good morning, people. It is Wednesday, so it's time for my midweek pickup. Today, I wanted to talk about staying on track and staying focused. I have been doing my thing now for 2 months, and I saw myself getting a little bit off track. So I want to just give you some things that you may need to use in order to stay on track, and always remember that whatever you're trying to do, that is the most important thing. Um, I read this quote that this pastor made here recently, and this is what kind of inspired me to talk about what I'm talking about today. And it said, "Non-production or no production leads to no expectations." Now, when you start something off, you expect it to go a certain way. You expect things to run a certain way, and you expect yourself to produce a certain way. But then in entrepreneur life, you get to pick and choose. You get to pick and choose your off days. You get to pick and choose what you're going to do for this day, how you're going to set your day up, blah, blah, blah. When you're first starting off in this journey, one thing that you have to know and you have to realize, there is no days off, period. There's no days off. When you're trying to get your business off the ground and run a real business, you can't take any days off. I thought I could. I realize now I cannot. There has to be something that you do every day for your business, for your brand, for whatever you're trying to do. Something. No matter if it's the smallest thing in the world, you have to do something to keep yourself abreast of what your goal is. Now, one day a week maybe. Sunday is supposed to be rest day. I try and get that day, to the Lord and everything. And some people don't have the same feeling or whatever, but that's your business. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But when you're trying to build a brand, you cannot slack in any area or any aspect that you're trying to really build and control. And I seen this because it became a pattern, especially with the weather that we had. And it took me about a week to realize it, so I'm glad it wasn't too long that I was off focus. But when we had the rain last week, I wanted to do something, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do it or whatever. And then as the days went by, days seemed like they were getting a little bit longer, and I would have more time to do some things, but I wasn't doing anything because I would look and see, hey, I know how it's going to be this weekend, so maybe I'm not going to do, what I usually do. Wrong, incorrect, completely. Even if there's something that I couldn't physically go out there and do, or I couldn't physically deliver because of the weather, there's still no reason that nothing was done that week. So you have to, even if it's not nothing that you're doing, even if you want to do something small, in my business, I cook. So even if I would have cooked something small, maybe one rack or one pack, what I'm saying? It's still keeping me sharp. It's still keeping me focused. It's still keeping me on the track that I need to be on. So, what I'm basically trying to say is especially to all the entrepreneurs out there, if you are serious about your craft, if you're serious about what you're trying to do, there is no days off. You cannot look at it and be like, hey, I'll take a week to reflect and think about some things and then go. No, time's not going to stop. Nothing's going to wait for you, anything like that. I've told everybody this millions and zillions of times. And it's something that I have to remember myself so I can get things, prepared. Time waits for nobody. I used to say at my old job all the time, I could die of stress, of a heart attack right here, and the next day somebody else will be in my seat. And that's true. Yeah, it might not be any mourning for me, or it may be a little bit of mourning for a little bit, but the truth is, especially in corporate America, you're filling a seat. You may be great at your job, but if you pass away within the next, I'll give it a week, I'll be nice enough to say within the next week, you are going to be replaced. So you have to think about that with your whatever you're doing, with your own business, with your brand. if you take a break, I'm not saying if you die, but if you take a break too long, there's going to be somebody else that's doing the same thing that's going to ease up into your spot and take your spot. And that's not what you want. That's not what you need. That's not what you started this for. You started this to be the best. And that's what your goal should be. And that's what you should always focus on, being the best. Nothing else matters but being the best. And that's my philosophy. That's what I put in my head. And that's what I'm going to continue to try to be. Because, like I said in the last midweek pickup, I'm going to say that my product is the best because, for number one, I know I have a good product, and number two, if people hear it long enough and then they can put, what they hear with what they taste, and then they figure out, hey, it really is the best. I done already made my brand the best just by myself promoting it as the best. That's not even putting the people in who think it's the best. That's just me promoting myself and my brand as the best. So always think about that. Always think about uplifting yourself in the most positive aspect there is. Always try and put yourself on a pedestal that you don't think that anybody else can reach or anybody else should be able to touch. Remember, what you're doing is like your child, so you should be rearing this and raising this as you would your own child, especially the good parents out there. But I'm just saying, like, don't get unfocused. Don't take breaks. The breaks will come later. And it may be a few years before you can take a real break. It may be 5 years. It may be 10 years. But the difference in a real break and one of those little fake breaks is when you take your little fake break, you come back and you might be broke or you might be in a position where you're not comfortable. But then when you're able to take that real break, you don't have to worry about coming back being broke or coming back working extra hours to make up for what you may have spent then, because you've already set the tone. You've made it to where, hey, I can actually take a real break and enjoy myself, enjoy my family, and enjoy my time, and know that when I come back, my business is still going to be booming. Or know while I'm gone as well, my business is still booming because it's still going on while I'm on break. That's the goal to get to. That's where you're trying to get to in life with brand, entrepreneurship, whatever it is. If it's something focused on you, that's what you need to be focused on as well. Yourself and how you're going to make yourself better. That's the key, making yourself better. With that being said, I'm going to go and cut it short today. Keep family first, God second. Everything else will follow. I will see y'all next Wednesday. Hey, man, pray for my city, man. We're still getting rain, still getting flooded out. It's still streets that are not open here in Houston, Texas. I guess it's just our time, so just keep us in prayer and everything, as we will keep everyone else in the world in prayer. With that being said, peace out. See y'all next week.